clicked that link and it said that waiting for the host to
Oh,
create the meeting.
yeah. No,
And then I clicked the other link, the one that is on, what's that website? Like the
oh,
Remain community
yeah,
website.
yeah.
Um, and it said the host has joined another meeting.
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
This is the first time I've hosted anything from Zoom, so I have no idea. It looks like an extraordinarily complicated system.
it kind of is compared to what we were using before. It's
Yeah,
where it's just like one button, click join.
right.
This is more professional, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, if you want to go with that.
Anyhow,
Just
yeah,
you and me today, huh?
I think so. Yeah, assuming
Cool.
Sean's still over in Grand Lake.
I think he is.
Okay. I think.
All right,
Acts.
let's see where we're at.
I think Acts 14, 21 through 28 is what I've got.
Oh, that's the rest of the chapter. Cool. Where am I at? Oh, I'm on King James version. That's why King James doesn't have the separation that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
All right.
All right, sounds good.
Cool. Let's get this party
Well,
started.
right on.
Jesus, thank you for this morning. Thank you for Dylan and his faithfulness to be here this morning so we can meet with you. Pray you'd show us something from this passage. Teach us. Yeah. Open our hearts and minds to your word. Thank you, Jesus.
Amen.
All right.
Cool.
They preached the good news in that city. Which city? Derby? Yeah. They preached the good
Yeah.
news in Derby and won a large number of disciples. Then they returned to Lystra, Iconium, and Antioch, strengthening the disciples and encouraging them to remain true to the faith. We must go through many hardships to enter the kingdom of God, they said. Paul and Barnabas appointed elders for them in each church, and with prayer and fasting committed them to the Lord, in whom they had put their trust. After going through Pisidia, they came into Pamphylia, and when they had preached the good word in Perga, they went down to Attalia. From Attalia they sailed back to Antioch, where they had been committed to the grace of God for the work they had now completed. On arriving there, they gathered the church together and reported all that God had done through them, and how he had opened the door of faith to the Gentiles. And they stayed there a long time with the disciples.
I wonder how long a long time is, because they use that phrase pretty often.
Right.
Months or years.
I could see it.
Anyway, they preached the gospel in that city and won over in Derby and won over a large number of disciples. Then they returned to Lystra, Iconium, and Antioch, strengthening the disciples and encouraging them to remain true. Remain true to the faith. We must go through many hardships to enter the kingdom of God, they said. Paul and Barnabas appointed elders for them in each church, and with prayer and fasting committed them to the Lord, in whom they had put their trust. After going through Pisidia, they came into Pamphylia. And when they had preached the word in Perga, they went down to Italia. From Italia, They sailed back to Antioch, where they had been committed to the grace of God for the work they had now completed. On arriving there, they gathered the church together and reported all that God had done through them, all that God had done through them, and how he had opened the door of faith to the Gentiles. And they stayed there a long time with the disciples. All right, so now they're in Antioch for a long time.
Looks like Antioch is kind of home base.
Yeah, it does.
Is that where Paul came, or is that where Peter was staying?
I'd have to go back and look. There's too many moving parts to keep track of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to tell. It looks like Peter and all those guys are in Jerusalem, actually.
That's what I thought.
And I could understand that. Jerusalem's kind of the hub of everything, according to a map I noticed earlier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy looking at. I mentioned this before, but you can look up. People have done videos that track Paul's movements all over the region.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I mean, it would obviously take years, but
Yeah.
it did. But yeah, it's pretty wild. Dude got around.
Man. Yeah. And then he follows up with all of them from prison when he's imprisoned. Like once he's in Rome, sitting in a jail cell, all he can do is just write letters to all of them,
Right.
encouraging them, which is which is where we get all those other things. Ephesians, Philippians.
Yeah, exactly. That's like 70% of the New Testament was written in a jail cell. And people, it's so funny that Christianity today is basically the opposite. It's in the popular culture. Like back in the day, it's I think Damien mentioned this yesterday that to be a Christian was a huge commitment back in these times.
Yeah.
And it was blasphemous. It was the recurring theme that comes up in my mind is the culture is so you can't understand biblical anything biblical without taking it in the context of the culture at the time. And to be a Christian was it was completely backwards of all the cultural norms. Like, oh,
Yeah.
you worship a crucified criminal? Are you stupid? Are you?
That's good. That's
like,
good. Wow.
like everything is backwards.
Yeah. I've heard it referred to the upside down kingdom.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, now looking back, it's like now it's just such a facet of the culture, Christianity,
At least in
that
America.
yeah, all over the West, I would say,
Right.
declining quite a bit. But the I mentioned yesterday or the day before that all of the systems that we have are in some way influenced by Christianity, and the moral undergirding is Judeo-Christian
Sure.
of Western civilization. And now we just take it for granted. That, like I said, now it's all baked into the cake.
Yeah.
And people will see Christians and go, "Oh, well, you just want your little sky daddy, and you want to feel good about yourself and have like Christianity was always like that.
Right,
Like
right, right.
that's people's opinions, but
Hmm.
the utter and complete opposite is true. Hmm.
Yeah, and even today I'm thinking there are places in the world where it is a commitment, a risk of life to profess Jesus.
Yeah, there's a civil war going on in some country, I forget. Should know this. Libya?
According to Back to the Future, it would be Libya.
You got to look it up.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of African countries, a few Middle Eastern countries, and China obviously is a big one.
Mm-hmm.
Big. Any communist
Yeah.
regime is going to persecute, not just they're going to persecute religion in general,
Right.
because it's such a powerful.
It's interesting. I was just looking up India on Friday. Not looking up, but remembering that Rez sent a couple missionary teams to India a while back. Pastor Mike was actually part of one of them. And I wonder what India's stance is on Christianity.
I don't know.
Because the missionary that they went to help out basically was a big construction project for a private school. And a bunch of outreach to villages and things. It seemed like it was pretty open, and there were no real run-ins with government oppression or anything like that. But yeah, it was interesting remembering all the stories that those teams brought back. Like they would go into villages and have essentially tent meetings up until midnight, maybe even past. And all these villagers would just congregate into this one space, and the Res team would pray over them and cast out demons. And it was wild to watch it, apparently. Like
That'd be really interesting.
some hunched over old lady would walk up in her, and she'd just be like in pain, arthritic, whatnot, and they'd start to pray for her, and her eyes would just roll back and go yellow. And then she'd just get on the ground and start spinning like a top as the demon was trying to stay in her and also be cast out, like, wow.
Man, it's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't think India is that bad. At least I haven't heard of any real like state persecution of religion.
Okay.
They're all Hindus over there.
Right. Right. And that's what I
So they
wondered
believe they're monotheists. They believe in karma, from what I understand. I might be wrong about the monotheists.
I thought the Hindu religion was all about this huge thousands of gods pantheon.
Oh, I guess I'm wrong.
Well,
too much to keep track of.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a lot.
Hinduism may be considered a monotheistic religion, as most Hindus believe in one supreme God whose qualities and forms may be represented by a multitude of deities. Okay, so I guess we're both right.
Interesting.
Yeah, I was reading. Well, excuse me.
Good.
I was looking up. We can get back to the passages where I think we're getting a little off topic, but
That's fine.
Yeah, whatever. We're just spitballing. What was I listening to? Oh yeah, I was listening to Gary Habermas.
Yeah. Who's that? Who's this?
Gary, yeah, it was Gary Habermas. Gary Habermas is one of the world's leading New Testament scholars.
Okay.
He's pretty well known apologist, and he does a lot of work on the resurrection,
Okay.
the historicity of the resurrection. Um, so I was listening to one of his resurrection lectures, and he was talking about the excuse me, I always cough in the morning. Um, he was talking about the earliest writings that we can trace back to the resurrection of Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he started with the Gospels, Mark, which being the first gospel, he said it was like 40 years after the cross. Matthew, Luke, and John were in the subsequent 20 to 30 years.
Okay.
And that may sound like a long time, but by historical standards, that's actually instantaneous.
Right.
And he had he made some parallels. He compared Alexander the Great, who obviously is not disputed as a historical figure, and
Mm-hmm.
his movements and his actions aren't really disputed. The earliest writing from him was 300 years after his death.
Oh, okay.
But
Okay.
he's trying to set the stage of how we do history.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people don't. I mean, I certainly didn't understand the way that history was done, because the experts, the scholars will talk about things like it's set in stone and this happened and this happened, but a lot of it's conjecture based off very scant, because there's only a limited amount of data that we can pull from stone tablets and
Right.
writings, and a lot of it actually comes from linguistic tradition. You can trace back some of the creeds. Um, the what is it? There was a creed in First Corinthians
Mm-hmm.
that, I forget when it was written, but just the linguistics were traced back to right after the cross.
I see.
Because it was the linguistics suggest that it was, I can't remember all the details, but they knew it was a certain language. They knew it was intended to be an oral tradition for that was well known in a certain part of the region, just because of the cadence. Da, 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 da. And
Yeah.
it's amazing what they can. It's like forensic history.
Hmm.
But yeah, anyway, that he was talking about how the evidence for the life and resurrection of Jesus is actually pretty solid. All
Yeah.
things considered, it's just a matter of, do you believe in supernatural things or not?
Right.
That's really because the evidence really is there.
Hmm.
And he made the parallel to Buddha.
Okay.
The first writings of Buddha are from 600 years after his death,
I see.
and they really don't know anything about it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's all tradition, which is fine.
But what you're
But
saying is Jesus, all of his teachings were written 50 years after
Mhm.
his ascension.
yeah, they were
So,
in the form that we have them now
so we could consider
in
them
the Gospels.
reasonably accurate
Hmm.
in that respect. Because
And
you
then
had,
they get into, well, they parse out
Mhm.
things that are in the Gospels, and they say this is accurate, this may not be accurate, but
yeah.
the 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 best evidence comes from Paul,
Hmm.
and that's one of the best evidences for the resurrection is actually Paul's conversion, because it was well known that we've said it a million times, that he was persecuting,
Hmm.
and then he became the strongest advocate for the religion that he was trying to wipe off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
and that's no one disputes that. It's a historical fact. So how does that happen?
Yeah. Yep. Gosh.
How are people willing to die for the teachings of a crucified criminal,
Mm-hmm.
especially Jews?
Yeah,
It only makes sense with the resurrection. But anyway, I say all that
that's
to
good.
say that the Hindus, Christianity is not even, it's not even close to anything else
Hmm.
in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, looks like we're getting the first in this passage we just read. It looks like we're getting the first real structure that will eventually become the Catholic Church.
Oh, yeah, yes. See, that was an interesting thing when I went on tour there. They were saying that was it Antioch? It was whatever modern day Istanbul is or was then. Became like the hub of the Catholic Church before Rome, I believe. I believe. Or maybe it was like the gateway between Europe and Asia. In any case, one of the last Roman emperors, I might be butchering this, his mother was actually a prominent figure in historical, like historical capturings, where she'd go to Israel and everywhere there was an event of Jesus, like, oh, Mount of Transfiguration or the Garden of Gethsemane or something like that. She was just like, well, that's a prominent place. Let's build a church on it.
Oh,
And so historians that study Israel history and Christian history are like, yeah, we're pretty sure we know where everything happened because this Roman this Roman guy's mother built a church on everything. In the process, also kind of one preserving it, but also two covering the place up. So like the church of the, oh gosh, I don't remember what they call it, but it's the place where Gabriel appears to Mary and tells her that she's going to give birth to a child. There's a church over that, and you can walk through the church and down to the basement and see the well that Mary was drawing water from, or what the well that they think Mary was drawing water from. But they're like, yeah, we're pretty sure this is the one because this is the one that so and so erected a church back in 300 AD or something like that.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
I have to think there's probably similar churches in all these other Turkish and Greek areas that we're talking about now. In fact, I think a friend of mine who I went on that tour with went on a Paul's Journey tour of like every other country in the area and got to see all the other sites and walk where Paul walked and look at all those places. So I'm pretty sure that they've got all those cataloged somewhere as well.
Hmm. Hmm. Well, history is a funny thing. You gotta use what evidence you can to put the pieces together.
Right.
I didn't know they had built a church on the Mount of Transfiguration.
That was
I
actually
was
a
just,
really cool one. Like, per Peter's wish, they actually have 3 tents. Technically, it's a big cathedral, and there's the big one in the middle on the very top of the mountain, and there's 2 side wings, one for Elijah and one for Moses. And you can see these frescoes in the ceiling with pictures of them, paintings of them, and it's just like, when
yeah, it's
Jesus is
making me want to
like,
go.
it's I would highly encourage it. It's definitely worth it.
It's on my bucket list for sure.
Cool. You're talking about early writings. Reminded me of. It says it's an illuminated manuscript that illustrates the traditional text of the Passover. But it's called the Sarajevo Haggadah. And this was basically a leather-bound manuscript that they found from about 1350 that originated in Spain from the Hasidic Jews in Spain. And it is like the oldest physical prayer book from Judaism that they have that's not like completely contained within a museum. Essentially, they managed to scan it and create facsimile copies of it, and it is still like a usable text for Passover, essentially. And like you can see water stains on the pages. It's so accurate and so well documented that you can see like water stains from a cup set on a page, and ink errors, and like just scratches and notes in the margins and that kind of thing. It's a wild book.
That's really cool.
Yeah. I managed to, when they first released the facsimile copies, I managed to grab a copy and give it to my dad, and he was like over the moon excited about it.
Yeah, old books are fun.
Oh yeah.
I really like going. I have somewhere back here. I have my grandpa's Bible.
Nice.
And it's really cool. It's like you were saying, that go through the pages. You got to be careful because it's actually dehydrated.
Mm-hmm.
The leather. I don't want to break it, but
yeah.
You can see his notes that he took. He highlighted or underlined verses, and that's really fun to go through that.
Right. I mean, this one here is my cheap Bible Superstore Bible from the early 90s. But I'm hoping to do that too, because I've been scribbling in the margins ever since we started this whole exercise. And I've got the entire the entire Sermon on the Mount highlighted with different colors. And yeah, I've marked this one up pretty good. Anyway.
This one here is a wedding gift.
Ooh, cool.
And Aaron's aunt gave it to us. Had it blessed by a priest.
Nice.
It's called The Word on Fire.
Yeah, I know you've mentioned it a couple times.
Oh yeah.
It's
been a while, but yeah.
Yeah. Like, does it have what do you call it? You said it has like just commentaries with certain pastors.
Yeah.
Like this pastor guy or what something?
Right. Yeah. It's his name is Bishop Robert Barron.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
And I think he's in charge of. He's out in California.
Mm-hmm.
I think, but yeah, it's just the Gospels.
Got it.
Because every other page is a commentary from some historical figure. And then they have artwork, which is really cool. Commentary on the artwork. Yeah.
Cool.
It's not my favorite version. I think it's like New English.
Right.
But yeah, get a lot out of that.
That is cool.
I like it because it's super big.
Mm-hmm.
And I have another Bible somewhere around here.
Yeah.
But it's borderline unusable for me because I just can't. The print is like this big.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right.
Even with glasses, I'm like, so I just usually go to my iPad.
Yeah. My mom's somewhere. My mom, either she has it or had it. She had an amplified New Testament, and she kept it in her pickup truck. Amplified is kind of her version of choice for just personal study, even though it is a complete paraphrase. But she kept that thing in her truck, and I have very fond memories of me at 5 years old opening up the glove box and, hey, there's Mom's New Testament. Flip that open and start reading it. Be cool if I could track that down.
You should. That'd be cool.
Anyway, so Paul got around. One of these times I'm going to map it all and just big string map. That'll be the project for the next week. Yeah, I'll do that.
That'd be cool.
Hey.
Make something like that and frame it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Just put like little pins in every city.
Yep, exactly. We've got 8 minutes according to Zoom free version.
Yeah, I saw that.
Anything you need prayer for?
Nothing's super urgent on my end. Just
Okay.
standard stuff.
Yeah.
Today, I'm not going to be able to make it up there today.
Okay. All right.
I'm going to drop off my wife at a bridal shower, and then I have to do a couple of jobs.
Gotcha.
It's going to be a really busy week.
Yeah. Understood.
So,
all right.
Which I'm really thankful for.
Yeah. Good.
But yeah, how about you?
I cannot think of anything at the moment. My sister just had her second baby 2 days ago.
Oh, awesome.
3 days ago. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, 2 days ago. It might as well have been 2.5 days ago. It was midnight on Friday morning, just like 3 minutes before midnight. So technically it's Thursday that he was born, but all said and done, might as well have been Friday.
Yeah, that's really cool. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, so she's taking care of him, and they're stuck at home. But I managed to go and see him yesterday afternoon after I did a bunch of work at home. So yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're in the thick of it right now.
Right. Like, she's just never gonna sleep.
Yeah.
For a while, and he's managing to get some sleep, but it's not great. So keep them in prayers.
Will do. Wow, love to hear it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll close this out.
Sure.
And we'll get on with the day.
All right, sounds good.
God, thank you for today. Thank you. Thank you for this time that we've had with you, nerding out over history and this journey that you took Paul on, and the sheer amount of documentation that you gave us so that we can just follow him so accurately to everywhere that he went. God, I pray you bless us today. Be with us, be in our words, be in our actions. Let us show the world who you are and what you're about through everything we say and do. Pray you bless all of our efforts today. be with us, speak to us throughout the day. Pray this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Well, thanks, man.
Sure thing. Hope you have a great day. We'll talk to you
Yeah, you.
tomorrow.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you then.
All right. Take care.
All right, you too.
Mhm.